Hi everyone, you're listening to Two Chickpeas in a Podcast. I am joined by very special guests, plural. Really, really honored to have all of these gorgeous, beautiful, talented people join me today. I am with the cast, the crew, the production, the minds behind Mrs Kapoor's daughter's wedding. Mrs Kapoor's daughter's wedding in Mauritius is coming to the West End, people, and we're here to talk about it. Yeah, welcome everybody. So I'm going to start and do quick introductions. And again, apologize my coconutness if I pronounce anyone's names wrong. I'm really sorry. But we are joined by Manoj Kerai, who plays Mrs Kapoor.
Hello.
Jai Shri Krishna, We're joined by dashingly handsome Kush Pattni, who plays Mr Kapoor. That smile, we've had technical difficulties before we've got to today, and Kush's smile, it's literally cushy, happy. I'm happy.
Hey. I'm very happy to be here.
Then we have Bavine Baichande. Baichande?
Bavine Baichande, yeah, it's okay.
Bavine Baichande. I'm just overthinking it. I'm overthinking it. And Bavine.
He doesn't mind Baichande or whatever.
I mind it. I'm such a bloody coconut in that regards. Anyways, Bavine Baichande, who plays the pandit. And we have Vicky Vaghjiani. Vicky Vaghjiani.
I might as well help you.
Thank you so much.
Nikkita, if it's any consolation, this is the first time I'm hearing Vicky's surname out loud as well.
Oh, okay,
yeah.
good.
It's not just you.
We're all having a learning moment today. Amazing. Yeah. So Vicky is a dancer and she also plays the maid Savita in the show. And then last but not least, we have director, scriptwriter, actor, head choreographer. This is Archana Kumar.
Hello.
Hello. So hi everyone. Can I just say you all look decadent as hell. You look amazing, beautiful, gorgeous. We're ready for the wedding.
West End.
We
look great too.
Oh my god, this whole thing. Thank you so much. I am keeping it like two chickpeas. Like I've always imagined my future attire is going to be like Nike mixing with this stuff, and I do have like a little Nike.
Love that.
I love that.
And it's a crop top, so it really is like a blouse for me. And I think that's where I'm going to go. My future wedding.
Comfy chic, making sure you're comfortable over glamorous as well.
Listen, the way I dance and I eat at weddings, I need to be comfy, but I need everything to let me breathe, go in and out.
I need to wear your trainers underneath the lenga.
I think a lot of people have asked me this. For the wedding, is Mrs Kapoor wearing high heels? And Archana said, will you wear high heels? I was like, absolutely not. I actually wear plimsolls to my daughter's wedding because they're comfortable.
1000%, like especially with like Asian clothing as well, because most of it, especially for your women, it has to hit the floor anyway. So like, who's gonna see if you're wearing heels or not? But I don't know if I've got tall girl privilege because I'm 5'6". I'm just average, but I think I'm tall for like a brown girl. And I think I was like, I'm short and I don't want to look like an Oompa Loompa in my lenga. And I'm like, okay, sorry. So yeah, comfort over everything, Manoj. I'm so there with you, and we're gonna start this comfort leisure wedding line together.
Now that you've said that, Manoj is going to start matchmaking you, so be careful.
No, Manoj, I'm single AF, so get to work, mate.
I always think if you're single and you're happy, I don't need to matchmake. Some people are so obsessed with trying to match up single people.
I think Mrs Kapoor.
Yeah, Mrs Kapoor is obsessed.
Yes.
Mrs Kapoor is, but I'm not. If you're happy and single, own it.
You're trying to get all the daughters married off because you want the house to yourself. Okay.
No, I actually do have the house to myself. I just want someone to cook for me because I'm too lazy sometimes to do it.
Yeah. Employ someone. It's cheaper than getting a husband.
Probably less taxing on your mind as well.
Right, for dialogue.
Yeah.
But coming back to Mrs Kapoor's wedding, so let's come to Archana then. Let's find out a little bit about the franchise, because it's incredible what you've created and made, because it's become a massive thing across the UK. It's got its own fandom. And it's really nice to see like all generations be able to attend this show. And now after 4 phenomenal years of like UK touring, standing ovations and roaring reviews, Mrs Kapoor's daughter's wedding going to Mauritius, and it's now landing in the Adelphi Theatre in the West End. Massive congratulations to everyone. But Archana, tell us a little bit more about how Mrs Kapoor's wedding and the franchise and everything of it. How did it all start?
So I think it all started from the fact that we, as a dance school, aka Bollywood, we tend to put on shows all the time. But this particular year, 7 years back, we decided that we wanted to have a particular theme for our show. And being a choreographer, I get to have the opportunity to work with couples for their wedding dances, for their family dances. And I also get to see all the drama that happens kind of behind the scenes. And I just thought it would be so good to put this on stage in the form of drama, but also a celebration of the big fat Asian wedding. It's such a beautiful thing, the Desi wedding. It goes on for days, but it's just phenomenal. Like, we have so much beauty and culture within there. And that's how it kind of originated. And with the first daughter's wedding, it went on for 4 years, and we showed all the different ceremonies that happen leading up to the wedding. And now this is the sequel show, and it's the destination wedding. So the second daughter's wedding, and she wants to do it abroad. So now you see how the family kind of get on with the modern views and the modern vibes of kind of doing a wedding, and how they get on with other people, like, for example, the pandit, who is played by Bavine. Mrs Kapoor's clashes with different people. So it's a really big celebration of the British Asian culture, really.
Yeah, it's a massive celebration, but it's also history in the making. It's the first British Gujarati theatre show to be in the West End. And I think, yeah, Manoj, yeah, claps, because yeah.
Jorti.
We've got an actual clap.
No, it is an incredible achievement, because I think the South Asian scene, whether it be books, TV, movie, theatre, music, if I haven't already said music, like across all platforms, I think is really having a moment, and has been ever since like the pandemic or 2021. I think you guys were hot on the button like beforehand with Mrs Kapoor's like daughter's wedding, and then sort of bringing it in, and helping with this platform that South Asian people are having at the moment, and the recognition and sort of the spotlights on us sort of thing. But again, I don't think lots of people know lots about Gujarati culture per se. So it's really exciting that you guys are championing this, and really being unapologetic, I think, in how you write it, all the funny quirks, the language being used in there. And I think, yeah, there's so much that makes up South Asian culture, but I don't think the Gujarati anything really gets a look in, to be fair. So are you guys all Gujarati or all aware? Yeah, you're all part of the community. Okay,
Yeah.
amazing.
There are some members of the cast who aren't Gujarati, but the majority of us are Gujarati.
Yeah, and it's amazing. It's so special and unique, and and Gujarati communities, we're all about the community from day dot. Like, you pop out, you're a Shah, you're a Patel, you're Lawana, whatever, and that's it. Like, for me, like growing up anyway, I always like the same community every single year around Navratri. Like, I'm doing Dandiya with the same people I only see like once a year, like everywhere there and stuff. So I suppose I wanted to ask a little bit more about someone's experience with Gujarati culture growing up, actually, because like I said, I don't think it's highlighted as much as other cultures when it comes to South Asia or even India. Who wants to talk to me about being like proud Gujarati? What was that like for you?
I think we also feel the same as how you feel. Like, every year you're kind of within the same community, and you're almost like in your own kind of bubbles. But with this show, it's so nice to see that all these communities are coming together, and they're watching this production and almost feeling like oh my God, this is so relatable. This
Mm.
happens in our community. This happens in our household. So it's just nice to see that it doesn't matter which community you're in, because everyone has different ways of doing things as well. We all are doing things that are similar, and similar ways of things that are happening. There's always auntie G's that are saying certain things at weddings that we all kind of hear of. So I think that's been quite nice to see as we've kind of grown up, that we're all kind of very similar in some ways. And I think what we noticed with some of our shows, I think especially when we went Cardiff, that even the non-Asian community share very similar traits as well. So like what kind of drama happens within their households, or when they're planning a wedding, they were saying that, you know, these things happen in our household as well. So that was quite nice to see that that generation is growing up to believe and understand the same thing.
Yeah, we've had a lot of like even non-Asian people come to see the show, and they loved it and resonated with lots. Like I had an Italian colleague come and watch it from work, and she was saying this is so similar to like how Mrs. Kapoor was very similar to how an Italian nonna would have been at her daughter's wedding or a granddaughter's wedding. So she loved just loved watching it and stuff. So I think there's so much relevance and so much empathy that people can get regardless of what culture you're from.
I think we can even resonate with like our own lives, like with our own moms. Like I just always relate to it when I'm listening, you know, during rehearsals or during the show. I'm like, this is exactly what my mom says, the same thing, the same line, with the same attitude. It's the same thing. So that's why I feel like we can also like understand it, like our own dialogues throughout the show, because we can relate to it.
Yeah. I think one of the funny things as well is Vicky and I both went to a destination wedding back in February. The same wedding, and the bride and groom from that wedding came to see the show, and they were like, it was like flashbacks to our wedding, like all the steps and all the things that happened in this show happened at our wedding. And they were just like, had they seen this more closer to the wedding, it might have been more PTSD, but watching it a bit further down the line, it was hilarious for them, because a lot of the things that just happened at their wedding happens in our our destination wedding as well.
Yeah.
Oh, incredible. I love that. And I love that how you guys all spoke about the relatability, no matter kind of what background you're from. I suppose I was speaking about putting the Gujarati culture like forefront, because like I said, I think it is somewhat like heavily misrepresented and things. So and it's lovely that people can see that we're being unapologetic in this production with it, and then other people are connecting.
I also think like we've not really had that many Gujaratis on shows. Like for example, if you look at EastEnders or like the big soap operas, they pride themselves on diversity, but even the Asian characters, none of them have been Gujarati. They either speak Hindi, they speak Punjabi, or there's Urdu speakers, there's various other things. But Gujaratis make up one of the largest, like even if you remove Indians, like even from India, we still make up the largest demographic of Indians in the UK, yet we're underrepresented in a lot of media. So I think it's good that Gujaratis are getting their limelight now. And Mrs. Kapoor's daughter's wedding was probably one of the things that has thrusted Gujarati culture into the limelight.
That too, of like different parts of Gujarat as well, not just one part of Gujarat, but you know, within our cast member, we have so many people from across the world, technically, who have been brought up in different ways of Gujarati culture. So I think it's such a beautiful thing that Archana has produced, really, and directed.
Yeah, definitely.
No, you guys are so spot on, honestly, and it's lovely to go somewhere. And I did, when I saw the production, I felt so seen, and it was so nice to be with other people who really get it, because like I said, like I felt like I only really connected with the community around like Navratri, like Garba, or if it's like a religious event. And it's so nice that there's something light, funny, you know, just like full of love and heart and joy that I can enjoy outside of religion, I suppose, like actual entertainment, and being like, wow, this is great. So you guys have done an incredible job with that, really. So yeah, so Mrs Kapoor's wedding, she's going to Mauritius, but she's also going to the West End. When can people see you guys there? Tickets, all of that. How do people know where to come see you?
16th of July is when we hit the Adelphi Theatre in the West End on the Strand. Just like to emphasize that. And you can book tickets at mkdw.co.uk. So all the tickets are on there, and there is a theatre ticket split. So basically, one side of the theatre is going to be the groom side, and the other side is going to be the bride side. So when you're booking, you can book which side you want to book from. So that's quite fun.
That is so much fun. That is
You better
incredible.
book from the bride's side, because bride's mother.
Bias.
Yes, and Manoj, Mrs Kapoor is a really loved character. I think because every single person, no matter what background, culture, religion, wherever you come from, everyone has a Mrs Kapoor in their life. Tell me a little bit about you bringing her to life.
I think it's been a journey. It's been a journey to bring Mrs Kapoor to life, because I think I probably started off the first few shows not as confident as Mrs Kapoor, but as I carried on doing more shows, as more people started giving more feedback on stuff that they really liked, I started embedding some of these things in. So things like there's a strap line that Mrs Kapoor uses, and it's not something that she was even known for before. And it says, it's just when she's dramatic, she goes, left, left, left. And that was never something that we thought we'll put in much. But in the first show, it was only 3 times that we did it. But after feedback of how much people loved it, it's now twice as much in the show. And even like how Mrs Kapoor laughs, like people from the audience were saying every time Mrs Kapoor laughs, they just laugh just because it's how she laughs. So we started embedding all of these things in that the audience were saying that they really valued and appreciated about Mrs Kapoor. So what's now happened is Mrs Kapoor has developed as a character, and it's a different version of Mrs Kapoor to what it started off as, but it's a version that people really, really like and people have taken to. So I'm quite pleased that people are liking my version of Mrs Kapoor and finding humor in it and warming to her.
And you do a great job. You do an absolute great job at it.
Thanks.
Honestly, I saw you. I saw this production actually at the Beck Theatre. I think I want to say like last year. I want to say, and I was like actually like crying. Like I think I was like second row or something, and I was actually crying. Like exactly what you said. It's the way you laughed, and I was like, why is this so spot on? Like this could be my auntie.
It's a contagious laugh, like you just want to laugh straight after him.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And Vicky, tell me. You got that $3.99 people, buy your tickets now for the rest. Yes, Vicky, tell me about your role as a dancer and your role in the show, because I think the dancing aspect to any production is amazing, but like Indian, South Asian, we got it down. It's like us, it's like our brand. Tell me about your journey with dance and how it's led you here to this production.
Well, I've been dancing since I was a child. I think ever since I was able to get onto my feet, I was always dancing, and I've just kept to it. And I was lucky enough to obviously meet Archana and be brought to the show, which is obviously the most special moment in my whole dancing career. And I feel like I've just learned so much with Archana and all the other choreographers and my dancers, my colleagues, if you want to call them. I've just loved it, and the routines, we do it every week. We have rehearsals every week with everyone, so I think that's quite important as well. Hence why I feel like it helps us sync together on stage as well. So I think that's the one comment I always got once after my family have seen the show, my friends, is like they can see why we rehearse every week. And it's through the socialization. They feel like everyone is the same person. Of course, everyone has their own different way, but it's the same time that you spend, the same move at the same moment. And that's so important as a dancer. It's like you want to feel like we're one unit and not just all different. So I think that's what I've learned as a dancer, from being a child to now being an adult, is that being aware of your surroundings. So it's also like a learning process as well for me. But behind it all, because everyone is so loving and so nice, it feels like a family kind of environment. So there's so much laughter behind stage, on stage. Everyone's really supportive. And of course, I've been given the role as being Savita, the maid, which is really fun because on stage, the dialogues I have with Mrs Kapoor, aka Manoj, it's really funny. So even on stage when I'm acting, I have to hold myself not to laugh. That's how great the dialogue is. So yeah, it's been such a journey. I've been Mr Kapoor's, I think 5.5 to 6 years. Yeah, it's been amazing, and I think all the credit goes to everyone on the team, but obviously my directors, Archana and Hitan. So,
I think some of Vicky's lines are so fun that we don't do this on stage in the main thing, but sometimes in rehearsals, we'll use her lines and be like, and then the Archana will like, stop it, it's not your line, it's never going to be your line. So
he
it's
loves
like,
to take my lines.
like when Mrs Kapoor talks about like I have to do all the cooking and cleaning, sometimes like cooking Lakshmi, cleaning Lakshmi, which she would say, the line is actually cooking Savita, cleaning Savita. And then sometimes it's just funny, like we just like it. So I just use some of her lines just in rehearsals. I've never used it on stage yet. Watch out.
Savita's actually Savita started off as a very a small kind of filler character, but as the production started going on, she became a very pivotal role in the scene. So just a little spoiler, when the Kapoor'S are actually going to Mauritius, they have all the gifts, as you do. People ask for gifts from London, you know, and they've packed all these gifts for the in-laws, and somehow they believe that Savita is the in-law. They've not questioned anything. They've given her everything that they own for the gifts, and then, you know, whether they find out she's their maid or what, that you'll have to come and see at the show.
I think one of the other things that was quite anxiety inducing at first was, now in the later versions of the show, the audience gets to vote what's inside the suitcase.
Yep.
And I don't know what's inside the suitcase until I open it and give the gifts to her. Luckily, it could be one of few things. Like there's a limited number of things it could be, but the audience gets to vote what comes out of that suitcase. So then I have no idea what it is until I open it.
I still remember the first time he opened it and his face, because I'm watching him from the sideline, and his face when he opened it, I could just see that you were holding back from laughing, because it's the first time that happened.
I had no idea
I was shocked as well.
There, and I was like, and I'm so glad I came up with such a good response to what came out, because it could have just been something really weird improvising on stage, but the line that we came up with was brilliant. Like, so I think every time that comes out now, I know that line worked really well. So this is what we say with it. I'm not going to say which prop it is, because there's obviously, is there 3?
They're not regular items.
Not too many spoilers. Yeah.
Is it 3 or is it 4 items?
It's 3.
Oh, there's 3 items. Yeah, so it's one of 3 items, I think, that people can pick from.
It's nice that it's interactive as well. It makes the audience guessing, and then also me.
I think the worst is sometimes like I think I just have to be very careful, especially it's Bhavna, like she plays Anjana Ben and Suchitra Ben. I have to be so careful to not catch her eye, because I think if we ever catch each other's eyes, we need to bite ourselves to stop laughing on stage. Like with the way Mrs Kapoor interacts with Savita, I don't think there is eye contact, because Mrs Kapoor is busy taking in the environment to make eye contact with Savita. But I think
because the dialogues are so funny and so interactive with the objects, it's very hard to keep eye contact.
Yeah,
because
and I think this
this
is probably what helped me, because I think if there was eye contact, there'd be a lot more, like, I think there's been times where Kush and I have made eye contact and I had to like take a deep breath and be like,
well, it'll just be like rehearsals, right? We just can't carry on because they're just laughing all the time. The jokes come out and they're just constantly laughing, and I'm like, okay, can we carry on now? And these are jokes that we've heard over and over again.
I think I remember in the very first show, Archana always said she was worried that are we going to do a full run through on stage live, because she was saying she doesn't think she's had a full start to end run through before the very first show, because sometimes I have ADHD, so sometimes I just get distracted even in rehearsals. I'm just like, ooh, asshole chair, what is this? What is this? And I go off on different tangents, but I think I can control it on shows and stick to character during that.
What about you, Bavine, as you're playing the priest, somewhat of a serious, respected role, like in everyone's life. But what are, like, do you join the mayhem with everyone? Are you just letting it all out?
That's him there.
That's him there in character.
Does not look serious.
Yeah. You like the opposite. Then you're just
I mean, it's not pretty much opposite. I mean, when Arch first approached me, and she said, Bavine, I've got the priest in mind for you. And I said, okay, fair enough. What kind of character are you looking for? She goes, he has to be a certain type. Of course, I won't give it away too much, of course. Please do come and watch. But there's a lot of inspiration, I think,
Can I pause you? Sorry. We won the cricket. Yeah, we won the cricket. So... Okay, sorry, Bavine, so carry on.
What a great interruption.
So sorry, interrupt just to share this news. Bavine,
what's the run? What's the score?
Let's mute Manoj now.
It's impossible. We need him for the show. But a lot of inspiration to play the pandit. I think first of all, it started off with like the look itself. I was like, how would I get the look? Looking at Akshay Kumar, for example, the comic timing, to even going to like Robin Williams, and then going into like Johnny Lever, for example, Anupam Kher, and then it suddenly started with market research. Technically, I started going to weddings, like random weddings to some extent. I didn't even know these people, and then I'm not staring at the bride and groom. Weirdly, I'm staring at the pandit, and people might think I'm weird. But literally like taking notes, and there I am texting Arch. I'm like, this is what's happened, this is what's happened, this is what it is. And I think slowly the pandit has sort of become I've described him as the alter ego. It's my technical alter ego. It's almost like a Poundland version of Mrs Kapoor and Sashi and a little bit of the other characters, but then it's got his own sort of atmosphere building as well. What really strikes me is that people really enjoyed that character. And I think I don't notice that until I come on stage and I hear this loud roar of, applause when I first come in after my entrance, that is. And that's it. And I think that is what I vibe off. And I think, it's really hard to keep up with Mrs Kapoor and, of course, Mr Kapoor as well, and the other characters. But I think we've bonded so well as a cast and team that it sort of has just become like... automatic. It's become like human nature for us.
I can definitely
also you get a raw, because I think there's an expectation of what they think the pandit's going to be like, but when he comes in, he's a trick of all trades. Like, he's got so many jobs that he does, and he's super animated. But I think that's the raw, is that they see something that they just did not expect, and the way he plays it is just phenomenal.
And he's also got loads of fans who send naughty messages about him as well, which is quite funny.
Oh, naughty. No. I want to get on this section.
It amuses us so much.
Bavine, can we have one of the songs that you do in the show? The Swaha one.
As your remix.
You want me to sing it right now?
Yeah, like so Nikkita will get an idea of what kind of pandit this is.
So for example, we'll start off as, the wind is howling like a swirling storm inside, couldn't keep it in, heaven knows I tried, don't let them in, don't let them see, be the good girl you always have to be, conceal, don't feel, don't let them know, well now they know. Did you get it?
No, and then
you know what song it was?
No, don't say, let the audience members guess in the comment section.
I know what song that is. It's coming back to me. Oh my god, that's amazing. And that was like spot on, Pandit. You did amazing. You did amazing.
Thank you.
Kush, Mr Kapoor.
Hello.
My smiley handsome prince. You have got this sweet innocent face on you, but something is telling me you're mischief. You're not as innocent as you look. And yeah.
Such a good boy. Boy, now you're
such a good boy. No, I have almost adopted the dadsy role, I think, even amongst us out of character. I don't want to sound like I'm tooting my own horn here, but like I do try and make sure everyone's like looked after, everything is like going smoothly. Thanks.
Yeah.
Like a dad does. Yeah, but I want you to cause some mayhem right now. I want you to spill the dish on everyone. Yeah, sorry, Manoj, I'm calling you up because I want to know the tea, right? Okay. I want to know. So, Manoj, I'm going to ask you, I'm going to try and do it rapid fire, like kind of styly, right? And I just need you to say the first name that comes to mind. And I just want like I want all the goss or all the. I just want you to dish it out, really. So I need to know.
Everyone else is asking.
But you must remain kind.
No, I don't. I want this sweet innocent face to come up, and I want all the tea to be spilled, all the chai coming out. So I want to know, because you guys are such a family. I want to know, like, actually, who is late the most to rehearsal or to stage? Need quick answer. Don't think about it too much. The first person that comes to mind.
Manoj. And Manoj makes an entrance when he's not late to rehearsals. He's fashionably late. He'll walk in and do a little promenade around the room, around the studio, like
and doesn't hug anyone.
That's not my promenade. That's just
we go to hug him, and we do, of course. We go to hug him.
Manoj has always got this step count that he is always trying to reach. So every rehearsal, if we're not doing anything, or even sometimes mid-scene, you'll see him walking around like the studios. It's
within the scene.
Yeah.
Love that. Scene stealer.
All the mayhem. But yeah, Manoj is the most.
I want to ask then, is he the biggest diva then?
100%.
No. I'm not the diva.
Hang on, I'm asking Kush, thank you. He's dishing it all out. Yeah, who's the biggest
diva? I'm so sorry. It's the first name that came to mind. It's our groom who's not here on the podcast at the moment. Rio. Rio is the biggest diva, and I don't mind if he sees this soundbite.
What's the most diva thing he's done?
Oh, I think, well, my first impression of Rio was when we got into the Adelphi Theatre to do some behind the scenes promo, like on stage. And when Rio first walked in, it was very quick introductions. We went straight into shooting, like to get the promotional content we needed. And he just hands his phone to me and goes, would you mind taking some behind the scenes, like some videos for me? And since then, there's now always one of us. The role changes every time. We've always got
doing the BTS.
On hand, doing his BTS for his Instagram.
I rate it.
When we went to Cardiff, because none of the cast members were there, he got one of the theatre staff members to follow him around and take BTS.
I think Vinesh
he gets the job done though. Credit to him.
The confidence.
He gets really good shots, I must say. Like, I feel like I need to take some tips. He gets some really good shots, really good angles, and it's quite good.
Well, Kush is taking the shots, so.
Oh, I give you all the tips.
I'm taking all those tips. Kush, I'm going to still come back to you. I want you to tell me who has a pre-show ritual and what is it?
Oh, see, I feel like the dancers would be able to answer this question better, because I noticed, well, Mrs Kapoor and I don't really get to mix with the dancers as much, because they're already set on stage for the opening of the show. So the pre-show ritual, usually before curtain goes up, we'd like put hands in the middle and scream like MKW to Mauritius, which is the other funny pre-show ritual that's popped into my head is Manoj's. Do you want to explain your pre-show ritual?
You can explain.
So Manoj loves to keep us all on our toes. The curtain might be about to go up and he'll go, I need to go to the toilet. And he'll run off seconds before he has to be on stage. Archana's heart is in her chest, and
I have because when I get anxiety, I just need to keep going. And if I get anxiety in the show, it's just been the lead. I still get anxiety in the lead up to the shows, so I'm like, oh, I need to go. I need to go.
You do a
But
very good job of hiding it.
Archana has to be like, no, you don't. You've just been, or like, you can hold on.
You know what? Also, the dance is just the same. Like the dances feel the exact same. You just have to help each other, just calm each other down. I'm like, it's okay, you can do it. Oh, it's all the BTS. Yeah.
And I suppose the last thing I want to know is what's the funniest thing that's happened on stage that's not scripted? Because obviously the play is really funny, but what's something that you guys haven't planned for and you're like, oh my God, can't believe that happened? It could be a mess up, it could be just something really funny.
So there's 7 years worth of like any funny stories I could pick out, but this is my first year joining the MKDW family, and there was a funny moment on stage. It probably wasn't funny at the time, but we can now laugh looking back on it, especially how well it was played off. There is a scene on an aeroplane where unfortunately a piece of set came loose.
Oh, I didn't think you were going to say that.
And went past Manoj and fell on the floor.
Yeah.
That hit me on the head. It hit me on the head.
It did hit Manoj on the head.
You just drama queen. It went past you.
There's that thing though, if something like that was to happen in a theatre, the theatre is going to become like haunted or something. Do you know what I mean? And then Manoj, you'd be at every single show for the rest of eternity.
Oh my goodness.
No, I'm breaking free from the cycle of birth and death, so I'm not going to be haunting no theatre.
Yes.
I want to know other funny things. Like, has anyone ever burped on stage? I feel like when I'm doing a podcast, I have to hold back my burp so much, and I just die.
I would definitely come close to, but I have to be so careful because I'm mic'd up. Whereas I think the dancers can get away with making all the sounds that they want and all the sounds that they need to make.
What about like, this is so jokes. I feel like a schoolgirl. I was like, but what about five? because the thing is, yeah, the back hit, but sometimes parts are silent. So are you guys in character? Like, who's that one?
It'll probably have to be internal one, nothing too loud.
Yeah,
but the silent ones are the deadly ones. Those are like the silent.
We haven't smelt anything like.
Nothing funny.
Yeah, on
good.
Stage
that means I stepped really far away then.
But everyone comes to stage with like all smelling great, their perfumes. You can tell everyone's been spraying like 10 ice spray like 20 times.
Yeah,
and especially when we're going through the crowd, I'm like to the dancers, I'm like, girls, don't forget the spray. Because of course, like we've danced so much, and it's only natural we're gonna have the dancing odors, right? So you just want to make sure you smell great whilst you're going to the audience members. So I'm just like, don't forget.
And you guys have said that the show is really like interactive and immersive. So has there been something the audience has done that you weren't expecting and you're just like, oh my gosh, okay, yeah, cool. Like, has someone tried to get on stage? Do they get up and dance? Want to get involved?
I'd like to add to that, actually. You do hear the audience members trying to speak to whilst you're either delivering dialogues. I mean, when Mrs Kapoor or Mr Kapoor are delivering the dialogues, the audience members already sort of know what to say, or they will copy you, or when the singers are singing, they'll get involved, and it's such a beautiful atmosphere. And I think all the theatres that we've been to, you know, what an amazing venue. And to be going to the West End and we're expecting them to have the same sort of vibe, you know. This is what we are here for. Literally, we want to vibe to the same atmosphere. So
I think Mrs Kapoor's lines, they tend to copy quite a bit. They seem to know it. It's like they're our family and they know Mrs Kapoor. So one of her big dialogues is, oh my, well, you say it, you should say it in your song, Mrs Kapoor. Why am I saying it?
There is, oh my goodness, which everyone laughs at, but the one that they join in on now is so they all join in on that. But then there are times where Mrs Kapoor goes into a monologue and sometimes the audience members shout back, and that does throw me at times, but I bring them in. I brought them in. Like, I'm like, this is what happens. Or like we engage with them. I think Bavine's done it once as well. Someone shouted at him when he was on stage, and then they engage. And then the audience also gets to pick Mrs Kapoor's outfit now for the wedding day. So I don't know which outfit. I do know by the end. I do know
interval.
By the time
we know by the interval.
Yeah, by the end of the interval. So as I'm going on stage, after the interval, I know which one they've picked already. But the audience gets to pick whether I wear red and upstage the bride, or if I wear matching with the mother-in-law, the groom's mother.
Matching as in the exact same sari.
Oh,
I would love that.
Yeah, the exact same sari as the groom's mother. I personally think that version is funnier than Mrs. Kapoor
that's what I
staging the
vote
bride.
for. 1000%.
Yeah, I think.
It's like,
Yeah.
you know, I've been to weddings where, like, Indian weddings where, like, the bride will wear red, but then the mums, they come in and they also wear red as well, like it's their wedding day. You're like, oh,
That's Mrs Kapoor kind of thing.
I think it's because it's not such a big deal in our culture. Like I've been to English weddings and like non-Indian weddings. It's a very big no-no to wear white to a wedding. Whereas it's not really a no-no in Indian cultures to wear red to a wedding. Like some people just do. I've been to loads of weddings where people wear red. So I think
1000%. But when the mum is the mother of the bride,
but you know what? In this wedding, we feel like Mrs. Kapoor actually feels like it's her wedding. I think you get that vibe throughout the whole thing. That even right to the end, she's just like kind of, you know, boasting on about how my wedding was the best. So I think she totally forgets that it's not about her, it's her daughter's wedding. So even with the outfit as well, she wants to upstage everyone.
Yeah, she definitely does, and I love that about her. I'm here for all of that energy and sass, and I want some of it for myself actually. One thing I wanted,
the audience members who are upstaging us as well with their costumes, like they come in and we're like, whoa, you've actually come to a wedding, and they're like dancing, and such an amazing thing, you know.
So is that the dress attire for the West End then? That's the everyone comes.
Oh, we are rolling out the red carpet for the West End. We
are
going above and beyond to make sure that everyone feels part of this whole immersive wedding experience. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to see what outfits everyone comes up with. Still, I guess, to the themed colours of the blue for the groom and red for the bride. But
it all like intertwines with like it being the biggest wedding of the year. So of course everyone wants to come in their biggest and bestest outfits ever. So that's what we're trying to get at.
Plus, I guess it's doubling down on the celebration. Oh, sorry, Bavine.
I'm just saying how excited I am. I was just thinking, like, damn, it's 2 weeks left, and I'm like almost nervous and almost this excitement is now building now. We're like, oh.
I was just gonna say, I still think like this hasn't quite sunk in for a lot of us yet that we will be hitting the West End stage of the show.
I think I'm glad it hasn't sunk in to me, because I think I'd get too much anxiety if I think we're going there. So I just have to imagine it's just another theatre.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask actually, Manoj, like so you said about the anxiety and stuff will kick in, but in these moments, does Mrs. Kapoor like seep out? Like is she like your alter ego? Like you've been playing her for like a while now. Like if Manoj has anxiety, does Mrs. Kapoor come out and is just like
no? But I have said I did this at work once. Sometimes you just talk out loud, like, what the hell is this? Like if you go shopping, I did go to Sainsbury's and something was expensive, and I was like, oh my goodness, I thought about Morguche. And I was like, why the hell have I just said it like this? Like, this is not me. I don't talk like this. But I was like, I thought about Morguche. My colleague heard it, was like, why have you just spoken like that as well? Like, why don't you just say this is very expensive? That's what I normally would have said. But there are times where it does seep in. And sometimes if I'm asking someone questions, I think I always say my favorite line in the show is, it's not one that gets that many laughs, but I love it. It's when Mrs. Kapoor's gossiping and she's like, oh, ato bija bata puche che, everyone else is asking. You know me, I'm not the gossiping. Sometimes if I ask someone a question and they're like, what? And I was like, ato bija bata puche che, everyone else is asking.
Okay, so she's well and truly in you. Yeah, she's there. Amazing. So yeah, she's there. Mrs. Manoj is there. Forget the anxiety. Mrs. Kapoor is gonna be there regardless. It's in Manoj. Everyone's coming decked to the 10s, 9s, 20s, 50s. Everyone's coming. It's amazing. So the West End at the Strand on the
16th of July. It's a Tuesday evening, so come with your work colleagues, your friends, make it a evening out.
Yeah, evening
So,
out, whether you're veg, non-veg on that Tuesday, you can still come to the play.
Yeah.
Nothing's stopping you.
And it's because in
Vegetarian
central
wedding
London, it's
only.
like the best location. And being in central London, it's just convenient for everyone, especially those working in central London. But also, if you want to have an evening out of entertainment, it's just like a win-win. So,
Yeah, there's no excuses. You know, all trains go to Waterloo. The Strand's right next to Waterloo. There's no excuses, people, and you're
Absolutely.
guaranteed for a great time. I know I've been to the show and I absolutely love it. Is there anything else about the 16th that we should be prepared for, or are we just ready to come and have a good time?
Just dress up. I think we're telling everyone to dress up because it is going to be celebrating the big fat Asian wedding in London. So if you are coming from the groom side, then dress up in your blue lengas, your saris or desi outfits or party wear. And if you're coming from the bride side, then please wear red. It is going to be a red carpet event, so there will be lots of pictures, press, and some celebrities as well. So it will be a big night.
There you go. Amazing. And I'm going to leave on giving an idea basically, and I'm doing this publicly because I want my recognition and I want to be part of it because I want to be part of the cool fam. But when you guys were talking about the interactiveness and people joining in and stuff, you know what, I was thinking Mrs Kapoor needs to have a panto. And I think that's the next thing.
Oh no, she doesn't.
I did tell this to Archana a long time ago, like Mrs Kapoor does panto, and Archana just said she's got a great idea for Mrs Kapoor 3, which is not the panto, but I think maybe it'll be something that happens in the future. I think a panto would be great.
I think so. I want the Mrs Kapoor franchise to keep going. I'm fully invested. I can't wait for the 16th. And thank you so much for joining me. You guys have been an absolute pleasure. Most beautiful guests to have on. Honestly, gorgeous, stunning, talented, amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having us. And thank you for dressing up for the wedding.
Yeah,
you look great.
Thank you so much, you guys, of course. But yeah, thank you so much. You have been listening to Two Chickpeas in a podcast. I'm joined by the cast and talented people behind Mrs Kapoor's daughter's wedding.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.